How's it going, everybody? It's great to be alive. So if you found this video or this channel, thank you and bless you and shalom. God bless you. I'm making this video for you to let you know, and for anybody moving forward, I reserve all rights delegated to me by God and protected and recognized under the Constitution and the UCC 1-308 and 1-103.6. Okay? So I'm reserving all rights and authority delegated to me by God himself. Okay? And now I'm moving forward to let you know that I am not a licensed attorney or a licensed practitioner of the law, all right? I do not offer legal advice, okay? What I simply offer is information. When I was a child, a little background about me is that as soon as I was born, I started to ask questions as to what is our purpose here, okay? Who are we? Why do human beings exist, okay? What is life about? And my mom could not really answer any of these questions, and a lot of them led to her handing me a Bible. And I said, okay, well, where are the answers? She says, I don't know where, son. You're gonna have to figure this out yourself. So then, as I got older, I used to ask a lot of questions as towards the background of our language. What does this word mean? What does this word mean? And back in the day, we didn't have Google. We didn't have cell phones. So my mom brought me to a dictionary. And she began to teach me how to interpret and read a dictionary, okay? So then, as I got older, not realizing that these are the foundational skills of my life, I had already questioned everything and certain specific stuff. And even when I began to find and discover the answers, they still did not believe me, or they were behooved or disheveled or caught in a state of where their own ego had a specific kind of agitation from me asking all these questions, okay? That it made people not really necessarily want to be around me, okay? It made them think about existence and life, and maybe even feel a little ignorant. And then so I began to research further. And by the time I got around authoritative figures, I already kind of had problems trusting my own family and believing in them. So by the time I looked at these school officials, it was the same thing. And the lack of understanding, the lack of somebody getting down on my level and really trying to listen to me and interpret me made me to start to see a problem with authority, that they had a problem with my authority, that children were not seen as individuals that have rights and authority as they're growing up. Somehow, these institutions above us that are molding us and forming us somehow are the authority. They are the way, when really they're more like gatekeepers trying to keep you from something. So as I got older, I began to question the system and question just about everything, okay? And to our entire existence. So my grandmother said, you should be a lawyer, because every time she tried to tell me something that I was doing wrong, I had a justifiable reason behind everything that I was doing. So therefore, it was very hard to debate, but yet I found myself debating. So now there was an argument to preserve who I am, preserve why I do what I do. And eventually I got separated from the flock. Before you know it, I got labeled with all these dysfunctions, attention deficit disorder, all these specific things, which, all we want as a child is to be validated, accepted into society, told that we're smart, be lifted up, have levels of achievement. And when you're being pushed into a world where you're a divergent, and everyone else has a class, a caste, a subculture, a stereotype that they can fall into, a bracket of society, and this one individual doesn't because they're questioning society, eventually they get met with these situations of life of where you're asked, who are you? And what do you want to be in this life? And you think you can go down this road and really make a difference. That life actually has a substantial meaning of justice, integrity, and truth. And you believe that these leaders and these people that set up the actual system, its foundation, its structure, the ones that are pulling the strings, the powers that should not be, that they believe that they have your best interest in mind, and that you are, depending on who you are, can climb up this ladder of success and become free and make change and hope and all these great things. And the more that you study life from the Bible to then go into question religions, to then get sent back into yourself, to not have any answers, you're left with nothing but yourself, to go to institutions, to scholars and colleges and all these professors, to be found that they don't even have any of the answers, that you're still led back with yourself. You're led back that life is developed by thought, and the ones that agree out of the majority of what thought is establishing what truth or fact may be, depending on how much you push the envelope. Okay? So then you're by the graces of God, you're left with a certain amazement of wisdom that separates you from society, a caste itself. You're an individual now. It only takes 3% to keep the Constitution going. Are you a part of that 3%? What is the law? What's natural law? Have you read the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of your state, including the continental United States of America, not only 1776, but also 1865, 1871, 1870, right around there, when they did the reformation of the government? Nobody talks about this. So if anybody comes to me and says, are you a lawyer? Why are we allowed to do these things? Because we are the people. And we also are a government made up of men, not a government that creates men. Men create government. So men are the source of law, which goes back to the Bible. I believe it's Public Law 97-280, Statute 1211, 97th Congress. And it's talking about 1983, the year of the Bible, where the Bible is the law. Okay? So if I can enact common law, which is the Constitution, seeing how we're on the land, then anybody that is registered into a system is under maritime, which is the law of the sea, which is the law of commerce. So now you're operating under the Uniform Commercial Code. The only reason why the Uniform Commercial Code exists inside America is through contract and recognition of the Constitution as being the supreme law of the land. And so therefore, I can invoke and enact to reserve my rights from the UCC, which brings me back to the common law. And I believe invoking public law, I believe it's 97280. Let me make sure. All right, armed with tools, I carry these around in my back pocket everywhere I go, starting right off with some law notes, okay? And these are specific statutes and laws that have passed by to be able to help us. So right away, okay, you know, in its full accuracy, it's basically saying Public Law 97-280, 96, Statute 1211, 97th Congress, 1983, the Bible, the year of the Bible. HJR 487 with 219 co-sponsors. So check it out yourself, all right? This, see, the government doesn't give you rights. God already gives you rights. You already have the right. Nobody gives them to you, okay? The only difference between a right and a privilege is with a privilege you can take it away. A right, the only way you can lose a right is by signing it away, giving it up, or anything like that. Government or this does not give you the right. You already have the right. So you have every right to study law, okay? I carry the Citizens Rule Book with me everywhere I go. And just starting right off, I mean, anybody, you can look it up. I did an audio read. I read it from front to back, cover to cover. And it says it right here. The general misconception is that any statute passed by legislators bearing the appearance of law constitutes the law of the land. The U.S. Constitution is supreme law of the land, and any statute to be valid must be an agreement. It is impossible for a law which violates the Constitution to be valid. This is succinctly stated as follows. All laws which are repugnant to the Constitution are null and void. Marbury v. Madison, 5 U.S., in parentheses, 2 Cranch, 137, 174, 176, 1803. So what you do is you're going to develop a case. You figure out whether they're using a statute that's unconstitutional against you, okay? You find case law that represents how this is constitutional. So we're finding a constitutional basis in our argument as to the reason why we're pursuing forward, and finding the basis within the Bill of Rights and all the rights that may have been violated. okay, within the Constitution, moving forward in using case law and other statutes and other remedies of law and through an affidavit of law to be able to be turned in or issued into the clerk of court so that it can be presented as evidence to benefit you. And then what they'll do is create a countersue, which is going to be the case law and all the things that go against it. And then ruling in favor, if you take it to trial, it's going to be on the jury, which is going to be the 12 jurors that decide the law. And you are also a juror, okay? And as a defendant, the burden of proof lies on the state or anyone who is the accuser, not you. So you don't really have to do much, but just stand there and not exactly act the fool. Just allow the laws and your rights to be able to preserve your innocence. Where rights secured by the Constitution are involved, there can be no rule making or legislation which would abrogate them. Miranda versus Arizona, 384 U.S. 436. So the reason why I said that, though, is because some people will say, oh, well, that's an old case law. It doesn't stand anymore. We have these new case laws that, that are now precedent over this or are basically trying to take away any law that you have towards a remedy. And the more that you have remedies and remedies and remedies preserves your right. You have a right to represent yourself in the court of law, to stand as your own self as a private citizen, to stand in your own jurisdiction, okay? To know who you are, to self-determine your own self. You want to take back your freedom right away, reclaim the name, okay? So if you want to buy this book, I have copies of it. I'll mail it out to you. An easy payment of $6, covering shipping and handling as well. $3 for shipping and some change, and I'll get it right out to you right away. And you can be armed with the same exact stuff that I carry with me every single day, everywhere I go. And I usually carry a pocket version of the New and Old Testament and have that with me. So I'm also preserving my religious liberties, that everything I'm doing is under religious clause, which is the separation between church and state, to operate as my own temple, my own church, my own government.